A lot of people out there have a lot of questions. Maybe your power just came back on. You have lots of questions about these rolling power outages. How long will the power stay on in your house?
And some people have been more affected than others. Ed Clark, nice enough to join us from Austin Energy New at noon. Hey, Ed, thanks for being with us. First of all, let's begin where we left off this morning. Where do we stand right now with these planned rolling outages?
Well, ERCOT has not indicated whether or not or how long these may continue. So right now we're still in the mode that they're going to be there. I will tell you that they have reduced the load shedding across the state by about, I would say, 25%, which indicates, of course, that they're bringing some additional plants online. But it's still a little bit of an unknown of how long this will last.
And Ed, how long are these outages lasting, though? Because we're getting callers and viewers who are saying, look, my power's been out for 5 minutes. Others saying it's been out for hours now.
Well, we know that there have been problems, and I will just simply maybe say this. First, you know, we want to apologize because it's not an exact science. It's not like turning a light switch off and on to take a circuit down and bring it back up. And when you have 350 circuits and you're doing 30 or 40 at once, you're turning some on, you're bringing others up. The system becomes a little more delicate, and we are seeing problems. I mean, sometimes, for instance, we try to bring a circuit back up, and there's a lot of load attached to it. The power's off, but there's a lot of stuff on, and we realize and we see that we can't just bring it up. So it is a little bit of a, frankly, a learning process. You know, this is an emergency, extraordinary kind of a situation. Nobody sits there and turns circuits on and off, you know, around the clock. And so we apologize that it's not smoother, but we are trying very hard to make it more equitable and to be a little more consistent, speaking to that complaint you just mentioned.
And Ed, the people that weren't with us this morning, give us a little bit of background now. This is a predetermined plan that has been in place and then it was activated this morning because the state's power grid was suffering from low wattage. Is that right?
Well, here's what ERCOT ended up reporting. This morning, there were 7,000 megawatts of power plants, and that's probably, that 7,000 megawatts of generating units, that would be like 10 or 15 Holly power plants that either tripped offline or were operating at a reduced level, lower than had been anticipated. So, you know, ERCOT knew it was going to be cold. They had generation lined up. They have reserve generation lined up that's sitting there sort of in idling so you can bring it online. And then they have industries that are willing to shut down if there's an emergency. They went through all of that because 7,000 megawatts is a lot of power, and it just disappeared. So the state is in a bind. I mean, the only reason you do this is because if you don't, you will have a total blackout in Texas. So, you know, they're busy now, and here's the other part of the equation. They need power plants. You know, we have these little jet engine things, a lot of people do. They can start up in 10 minutes. No, that's not what you need. You have to have a plant that makes steam, and those take 8, 10, 12 hours to come up from a cold start.
And that because of the demand of energy that we have been seeing because of the severe weather, and it is such a delicate situation here, how do you differentiate a general power outage compared to these rolling power outages? And how do you fix both at the same time? Can you?
Well, I apologize again because you can't. And the reason you can't is because in the Energy Control Center, those people are busy, of course. They're bringing up circuits and taking them down. You can't send a lineman out into the community because you then can't coordinate the power flow or move it over to another line so he can work on a piece of equipment. In other words, you can't do rotating blackouts and do outage repairs. So unfortunately, and I'm sorry about this, but it's the way the system works, those that really have an outage, and I think there are some customers that are going to have to wait until the rotating blackouts are finished and we're done with it, and their power will still be off, and then they're going to call us and we're going to send somebody right away to fix it. But unfortunately, as long as the rotating is still in play, we don't have the ability to send linemen out to work on the system.
And the hard thing is that you don't know when these rotating power outages are going to end.
We don't have a choice. We don't have a voice. This is a plan that's put in effect. And once again, it's a plan to keep Texas from being in a state of complete blackout. So, I mean, it's the ultimate emergency. It's only happened, to my knowledge, once in the last 15 years before now. So all utilities, and it's messy, and the traffic lights are messy, and all the things that people point to are messy. It's an extraordinary situation, and hopefully we won't have to get so good at this because it's going to happen in the future, but we know and we are trying to do better.
Yeah, I saw earlier from the release that you gave us that emergency places, hospitals, and a lot of focus on some of these places that can't go without power. And we know, Ed, that you're busy today, so we're going to let you go. But before we do, another night tonight in, incredibly low temperatures, freezing. Is this something we can expect maybe tomorrow as well?
Well, ERCOT knows that the state has got to be informed of how long this is going to last, and we will make sure that we communicate with the media so that this city will know.
And people that do get their power off, you're asking them to kind of help you out too and turn off a lot of their unused power and non-essential power supplies in their home, so when you do bring it back on, it's easier to make that transition. Is that right?
Well, I think the governor is going to be actually doing a press conference, and you'll see more activity, because really in this state right now for Texas, everyone should keep every single electric item turned off all the time until this completely passes, to the degree that one can.
All right, Ed, we know you're busy, and we thank you again. Appreciate your time and getting everybody informed, and thanks for being with us on Austin News at Noon. Okay.